Shalom, shalom, giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. Shalom, giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular teaching is called Reading Hebrew for Mastery, Part 2. This is a presentation being brought to you from the congregation Shema Yisrael, located in Brooklyn, New York. Giving due respect to the elder Nasi Zipor, Wagam et Beno Nasi Natan El, Wagam et Saranu Saranatan El Mematelewi. One of the things we want to point out for edification purposes is that if the classes are followed, brothers and sisters, one can gain an understanding of Hebrew very, very meticulously. And what we're dealing with this week is called Reading Hebrew for Mastery, Part 2. And last week, which was last so-called Sunday, last Yom Rishon, we went over this in Part 1, in which, just like this one, is color-coded, so that way one can begin to see how it works in that particular aspect. We want to continue on in these particular lessons for edification purposes. Okay? It says this, Shalom, this is Hebrew Lesson 10. It is in due respect to the Most High this presentation is given. This is brought to you from the congregation Shema Yisrael. Please subscribe to the channel. Shalom. Next slide, please. Now, what we're looking at in this particular regard is this. The word here says Misharteka. Now, you look over there inside the English where it says in the red lettering is equivalent in transliteration from the mem and the sheen, also in the red, the Hebrew letters on top, reading from right to left. You have the mem with the kerik under it, which makes the E sound. Then you have the sheen with the shawah, which joins with it. Anytime that's stated, when you see the shawah, you join it with the sound before it. Mish. And then you continue read or speaking the next part of it. All right. Mish Arateka. The aleph with the patak makes the ah sound because aleph is a mute letter. Then you have the resh with the aspect of the shawah. And then you join that together. All right. So that automatically then says Mishar. All right. Then we have the tau there. Tau making the T sound. Some state the TH sound. But the sound that's with it is the segol. The segol making the aspect of the sound. Okay. Mish Arteka. Now, as stated, this is color-coded for edification purposes. And it says the word sha'ar means remnant. The mem is the prefix and the kasal feet is the suffix. So now, if you look at taking the mem off and the kasal feet off, you have the word sha'arte. Now, if you remember going back into lesson number 6, you had the aspect of in a noun that happens to be feminine, the letter hey and tau being feminine letters, showing possession in its initiation with that hey transforms to a tau. So she'era means remnant or the remains. Also, the word she'er, also said by some as or, means leavening or fermentation. So just want that to be noted. The definition given for Misharteka in many cases in translation is your kneading trough or your kneading bowl. That is to say the things that you take the remain from or part of from the remains of some, and then you knead that together. Misharteka. Now that you see that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right, so I just want that to be noted for edification purposes. Now, when we go into this particular aspect right here, it says Misharteka, which means, as stated, your kneading bowl or your kneading trowel. All right. Now, the kafs or feet at the end shows the aspect of it, the suffix, meaning that connected to a noun means your whatever. All right. So we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, one thing to point out in this particular one here, it says the blessings, also color coded, and it says Hab Rakot. Hab Rakot. All right. Now the hey actually there has the patak. All right. Hey making the H sound, the ah, ha. Then you have the bet with the shawa with it, and you join that together. Hab. Hab. All right. Then you have the resh with the quamats also like that, making the ah sound. So that's in the mustard color aspect. Hab ra. That's why you see the R-A, ra, in that particular regard. Then you have the kaf, then the O sound with the kolam there next to it, and the tau, coat, hab ra coat. The meaning of hab ra coat means the blessings. All right. So we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about in that particular aspect. All right. All right. So next slide, please. It says your basket matter. Now the definition of the word there is your basket, but you have the tet there with the ah sound, so that's ta. All right. You have the noon there. The noon has a shawa. That's stated over from last week. All right, for edification purposes, you had it to where it says tan, and then you continue reading on with the rest of the word there. You have the aleph there shown in the green with the patak kwatan, which is making the asa tan aka. You have the kaso feet with the kwamats tan aka, which means your basket. It comes from the root word in that regard, tene. All right. So just want that to be noted for reference purposes. Okay. Again, this is color coded. Always remembering that Hebrew is read from right to left. Next slide. Thank you. And it says, and 7. All right. Now the Hebrew that you see there says, Ub Shib'ah. Ub Shib'ah. All right. O-O-B in the English there in red. Then you got in the Hebrew there in the red, the wow, and then the bet. That bet has a shawa with it, so you join it on with the sound that's previous to it. All right. Now this happens to be the oo sound in that particular regard. Oob. Oob. All right. The sheen shown there in the blue, always remembering that it's always read from right to left. The sheen and the karik make the E sound. All right. So that's she. That bet that you see next to the sheen, all right, has a shawa. So you join it on as repetitively as stated the sound as before it. So that's oob, sheeb, ah. Oob, sheeb, ah. All right. So we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about for edification purposes. Now, brothers and sisters, I wanted to point this out with this one because as you see, both the second and the fourth letter of this particular word has a shawah with it. But as stated, you will never see a shawah with the aspect of it being with the first and the second letter. You may see it with the first and the fourth. You may see it with the second and the third. You may see it with the second and the fourth. You may see it with the first and the third. But you will never see a shawah with both the first and the second letter of a word. All right. So this is something we just wanted to point out. Ub Shib'a, as stated, color coded for edification purposes. So, and it means and 7. That's what it means in that particular regard. Next slide. Thank you. And it says here, Lefaneka. Lefaneka means before you. Now, as stated, this is also color coded. All right. You got the mustard color yellow there with the lamed, and with that is a shawah. Lah. Lah. All right. Then you got the pay or fay. Depends on one's pronunciation. Some may say it's a P. Some people may say it's a F sound. All right. But what it says there in that regard is with the qamats with it, pa or fa. Le pa neka, le fa neka. Now, what you're looking at there inside the blue, inside of the English, is F-A-H. Then we have there in the brown, N-E-H. The noon shown there in the brown has the segol aspect. All right, and that makes the sound, the yod, which is the little letter next to the noon, reading from right to left. All right, in that particular regard, just shows it as possession. So that's what that is with that. Lefa neka. Now the ka that you see there at the end serves, brothers and sisters, as a suffix. All right, so you can gain some understanding of what we're talking about. The meaning of that means before you. All right. Now, if you take the lamed off, which you see there as the L there, and the Hebrew has the mustard color yellow, you have the word paneka. Paneka means your face. Paneka means your face. Lefaneka means for your face or to your face. That's why it's translated as saying before you. Because if I put something before you, I'm putting something in your face. So when we read, thou shalt have no other gods before me, we're reading, you shall have no other gods in my face. You should not have any other gods in my presence. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. Next slide. Thank you. Okay. It says here, Tig Re'u. Tig Re'u. All right. You have there in the yellow, okay, the Tau and the Gamel. And that's T-E-E-G there in the yellow. All right. Then you have the Resh. The Resh is in the brown, and then shown in the brown are there. Then you got the O-O, which makes the U sound, which you see there in the black, and the iron with the wow, U in that particular regard. So what you're looking at there, it says Tig Re'u. Tig Re'u. Tig Re'u. The matter with the Gamel, we must remember, the Shawah joins the sound of the letter with the previous letter. The same we see with the Resh holding the Shawah also. It is joined with the sound previous to it. So it's Tig Re'u. Tig Re'u. You know, it's not Tig Re, Tig Re, Tig Ro, Tig Ra. It's Tig Re'u. And that's how that goes in that regard. Once again, as we went over and shown before, right? When you're looking at this where it says Ush, Ub Shib'a. You see the Shawah with the bet, that's red, and then you see it again with the fourth letter that happens to just be a bet also there in the blue. And you joined it with the sound that's before it. So now, same thing that we see here. Tig Re'u. All right? Both the Gamal and the Resh have a Shawah. So as stated, let's go back over here. You see the Shawah with the second and the fourth. All right? So that's something we want to point out for reason and purposes. Over here with Tig Re'u, you see the Shawah with the second and the fourth. All right? So this is what we want to point out for edification purposes. And it's something that you join up one to another once it comes down to pronunciation. Okay. The definition of that means you will take from. Got that from Deuteronomy chapter 4. All right. And then we see right here in the Hebrew, it says Wayik Tabaim, which in Hebrew literally means and he wrote them. Now let's explain something in regards to this particular aspect, all right, for edification purposes in Hebrew. As stated, this is called Reading Hebrew for Mastery Part 2. All right, if you study these lessons, one will begin to sit back and see how easy the formation of this goes. All right, now what you're looking at right here is the wow with the patak, all right, making the wah sound. The vowel there making the ah sound, and it's connected to what makes the W sound. So therefore, the sound is wah. All right. Now, if we remember from before in lesson number 6, anytime you have a patak or a shawah, all right, and the next sound or the next letter to it is a yod, it's said as y. Y. All right. Now, that yod itself has a dagesh in it, showing that it shows it to be strengthened in sound. Then you got the kirik under the yod. All right. Yik. Yik. Okay, that kaf which is in the green has the shawah with it. And if you remember our rule about the shawah, all right, brothers and sisters and others included, you just join it on with the sound that's beforehand. All right. So this is what we want to point out for reason and purposes. So let's look at this again. Yik. You got the kaf there in the green, and then with the English there, the apostrophe, all right, means you just break off that sound, stop there, and continue reading. Tabaim. Now, this tau that you see there in the red, just said there as the T there, in this particular regard, also, like the kaf, has a shawah with it. Now, if we remember, let's look back at this. You have the shawah with the second and the third letter. Here you have the shawah with the third and the fourth letter. This is what we wanted to point out for a reason and purposes. The shawah we see with both the kaf and the resh. So we know to join it with the sound that is before it and continue in the word. All right. Wayik tabaim. All right. I want to make a slight correction. Is with the kaf and the tau, not the kaf and the resh. There's no resh in that word. So when this video is uploaded, I'm going to put the particular minute about the correction about the actual letter used there. But getting back into the point, it says Wayik tabaim, which means and he wrote them. That mem feet you see there at the end is shown in the aspect of it as a suffix connected to the verb. So anytime you have a suffix connected to a verb, that suffix shows it as a pronoun. That's where you get the them, T-H-E-M, as the aim in the Hebrew, all right, or the Hebrew. Wayik tabaim, and he wrote them. The shawah we see both with the kaf and the resh, which should say the kaf and the tau. But I'll make that correction inside the comments, all right? So as known, we just join it with the sound that is before it and continue in the word. So this is something we just want to point out. Wayik tabaim. Wayik tabaim. Okay. Next slide, please. Thank you. And it says this, and you shall take heed. Nish maratim. Again, this is still color coded. So you have the wow with the shawah there. Then you have the W with the apostrophe there in the English. All right. Wah, wah. Now, let's go back, brothers and sisters, and you see this right here. This is faneka. Faneka. This happens to be with the shawah with the first letter of the word. And then you see the same thing over here with the shawah being with the first letter of the word. Wah. Nish moratem. Now, the noon that you see there starting in the green, reading from right to left, you have the kirik there, which makes what? The E sound. Then you have it joined due to the shawah being under the sheen with the sheen. Well, nish. And then you continue reading the word. The mem that you see there, that's the first letter reading from right to left inside of the aspect of the light blue. When Nish Mar MA, the Mem has a patak, and then the Resh there also joining on with the sound previous to it. Mar, Mar. Anytime as stated when you have a Shawah, you have to sit there and join it on the sound that's previous to it. Now, if it's this case here, we see in this particular word, you have three different Shawah aspect. The first letter, the third letter, and the fifth letter. But as repetitively stated, you will never see a Shawah with both the first and the second letter. Okay, with Nish Maratem, and you shall take heed. All right, that Tem, the Tau, and the Mem feet in that particular regard serves as a suffix. All right, so we're going to go on to the next slide. Thank you. And it says this: you were shown. Now, in the Hebrew, it says this: Har'eta, Har'eta, Har'eta. All right? You have it color-coded as the other ones. The Hey actually has the Kwamat, Ha. Then the Resh there that you see there has a Shawah with it. May seem like we're going redundant with the Shawah aspect, but in order to be able to read Hebrew, one must know when there is and will be a Shawah within it. All right? Har. Har. Okay? Then you have the Aleph there with that Zere. Okay? And that makes the A sound because Aleph makes no sound. All right? So this is something we want to point out for reason and purposes. Har-e-ta. As we stated, the Resh has a Shawah, so you join it with the sound beforehand and continue reading on in the word. When you continue reading on in this particular word, you have it to where the Aleph is shown with the Zere. And then we have we have Har-e-ta. That ta, the tau, and the kwamats making a ta sound as you see there at the end. All right, in the English there in the green. So this is something we just want to point out for reason and purposes. Now, we have right here your father / forefathers, because you only have one biological father. So when you read the fathers of a person, you're talking about that person's ancestors. All right, so it says here, Aboteka, Aboteka, Aboteka. Now, you see that quite often in the scriptures, in the Hebrew as well as the English. All right, so let's look. You got the Aleph, which is mute. This may seem redundant, but so be it. All right, and then you have Patak with it. Ah. Then you see the bet there with the O sound. All right. Bo. Anytime you have a dot on top of a letter, look to see what it is. Mo. Pardon me. Bo. Ah. Bo. Teka. Now, the mustard color there that you see in the Hebrew is the Tau with the Segol and then the Yo. Te. And then we got in the black there, Ka. K-A-H there in the black. Abo Teka. The point in going over the lesson in this particular regard is just to show brothers and sisters how easy it is to get into reading Hebrew. Reading it is not hard whatsoever. All right? So this is just something we want to point out for reason and purposes. Next slide, please. Well, that ends that. Okay, so we're going to conclude with this particular lesson in this particular regard. This is called Reading Hebrew for Mastery Part 2. So we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about in this particular regard. I can be reached, brothers and sisters, at 908-587-4841. All right? So with that, I say, Torah for the time. Shalom. Most High bless.